Welcome to our podcast. Today we're talking about HB67 and its effects on high school theater. Before we get started, we'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode, M&M's. M&M's is announcing a new line of its chocolate candies. These new M&M's contain quotes from Shakespeare himself for any time you're at a loss for words.
On October 1st, 2025, Alabama will be passing a bill that prohibits drag performances in schools. The bill defines drag as a performance in which a performer exhibits a sex identity different from the sex assigned to the performer at birth, using clothing, makeup, or other physical markers. This could impact school plays because although they are not intended as drag performances, they often feature actors portraying the opposite gender due to a shortage of male actors or other limiting factors.
Cross-dressing on stage isn't a new thing as many people think it is. In the Elizabethan era, during Shakespeare's time, most female actors were portrayed by little boys because of the unfair treatment of women in England during this period. According to an article by the Harvard Gazette, cross-dressing in the performing arts dates back even earlier, all the way back to ancient Greece.
Joining us now is Miss Jackson, the Daphne High School Theater Director, with her thoughts on the matter. Cross-dressing in the performing arts dates all the way back to Shakespeare's time, and even ancient Greece. How do you feel about this important part of our history being tossed out the window?
I think it's a shame. It really is, this is a part of our culture. And, I think it's funny that in a male-dominated society where women were not even allowed to be on stage, and so men had to cross-dress as women to fulfill roles, now we're kind of facing an opposite, issue where we have so many women who need to cross-dress as men, and if they take that away, then it's going to severely limit our castability, and it's going to diminish the whole fundamentals of what we teach.
How does this bill directly affect you as a teacher or director and your decision in the school's upcoming productions?
Well, I'm going to have to be looking at different shows for sure, because most of the shows that we do have several guy roles. And, for example, if we do Newsies, we've got enough guys to fill the major roles, but we may need some gals to, don little newsboy costumes and flip around in the background, because our guys, they can learn their lines, but they can't flip around like the girls do. And so that kind of takes that out of the equation. So we're, me and other, I've been talking to other theater teachers, and we have to just really think about, if we have only 4 dudes, what can we do? So it's going to limit what we do, very much so. It's also going to take away opportunities for girls who, we could, cross-dress and give them an opportunity to play a character. And that's really just what it is they don't get an opportunity to play a character. It's not, oh, I get to play a guy. It's, you get to play a character. And it's going to take away opportunities from girls, and it might honestly give some guys roles that they maybe don't deserve just because they are male. And so the more deserving actor, regardless of their gender, is not going to be the main consideration in casting anymore, which I think is a shame. And yeah.
It states that drag is prohibited without parental consent. Would you be able to gender bend / cross-dress if a permission form was required prior to ticket purchase?
Possibly. That's kind of the gray area that we're all of us theater teachers are just kind of living in limbo right now of, could we send out a form with parents with the auditions? And possibly, because most of my theater parents are pretty understanding, and they know they're just like, hey, I just want my kid to have a chance. So I'm honestly not super worried about that portion of it. I'm more worried about, when we do school shows, will we have to announce, hey, tickets for, Wicked are on sale now, but FYI, those dancing monkeys are going to be girls dressed as boys. Is that going to affect ticket sales? Am I going to have to put it on our posters? There's drag in this show, which it's not drag as they think it is. That's, it's filling a part, like we said before. So yeah, it could affect ticket sales, and it would be a whole lot more paperwork and frustration. And then if one kid goes home and says, Mommy, I saw Captain Hook was a girl, then we could be in trouble.
The current ratio of male to female actors in the Daphne High School Theater program?
Currently, I would say we probably have two gals to every one guy. So, but there have been years that honestly, I have had literally just two guys. And I've had to finagle shows, it just depends. But on the flip side of that, I've had years where I've had mostly guys. It's just, it changes every year. It fluctuates. And so I feel like, it just takes a little finagling, and you got to work with what you got. And some years are low and some years are high. And on those low years, you scramble.
Would you be able to work around this, bill by changing the gender of a character completely, like you did during The Tempest with Prospero?
Possibly, yes. A lot of plays nowadays, though, have notes in them. For example, most of our musicals come from MTI, Music Theater International. And if you go to the casting page, as part of your contract, it'll say this role must be played by no other gender than, and or sometimes it's like a racial thing, they'll say, do not change this character's ethnicity. So they're getting more and more specific on that. We got around it in Tempest because it's Shakespeare and it's public domain. So it could lead to more Shakespeare plays, gender swapping, but you do also have to be careful with that, because if you gender swap some love interests, then oh no, we can't have lesbians on stage. So that's a whole nother can of worms.
Do you have any other concerns about House Bill 67 and how it would affect theater at Daphne High School?
My biggest concern is that it's an anti-drag bill, and I think that there's just a stigma, and people aren't understanding that we're not doing drag shows. That's not what high school theater is about. And so I wish we could get away from that stigma of, oh, they're putting guys on stage in dresses and that's drag. It's a whole separate entity. We're not having, womanless beauty pageants, which didn't the football team sponsor, ? Or powder puff games where the girls dress as guys and the guys were cheerleaders. It's not that. We're not, we're having fun. It's kids, we're having fun. And for us, we're trying to do our art. And that's the thing, is that it's stifling our art and opportunities. That's just my beef.
Thank you.
Yay.
The bill was amended on April 29, 2025 by Alabama senators. Although it is great news, this still shows how vague wording in bills can be harmful in ways they don't originally intend.